Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of SoTellUs Time. We have got an awesome episode for you. I can't believe it's November. It's November, everybody. Oh my gosh. Hopefully you guys had a great Halloween and got to either, listen, you got kids, you went out trick-or-treating. If you don't, you probably went to a party. So that was fun, right? Maybe if you had kids, you went trick-or-treating, went home, put them to bed, and then went to a party. Even better. For me, best thing to do was went trick-or-treating, and then I went home and got in bed. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like we just wanted to climb into our bed and watch a show and eat some popcorn. So that's what we did. But hopefully you guys had an amazing Halloween, and the fun continues. As Troy and I always say, once Halloween hits, the year is over. Absolutely over. Because I feel like everything just happens so fast. Like I've said it before, you got Halloween, then you got Thanksgiving. And then for me, we've got our anniversary and my birthday's in December. And then you got Christmas, and then you got New Year. Anyways, it just goes by. Once Halloween hits, for me at least, it flies by. And I can't believe that another year is down, 2025. However, I think most people are ready for this year to be done and are looking for a little bit better of a 2026, right, Troy? I think that's
Absolutely.
kind of the consensus that we're hearing amongst all of our clients in 33 countries around the world. It's not just here in America. All over the world, people are like, all right, I'm in 2025, we're looking forward to 2026. So anyways, all right, we got a great episode for you today. It's going to be awesome. We're talking about the most profitable skill you're ignoring. How simply listening can 10 times your business. What if the key to explosive growth, happier employees, and loyal clients wasn't another marketing tactic? Okay. What if it was much simpler than that? All right. Well, I'm not going to give it all away. I'm going to let Troy do his thing. And I'll just, you guys know me. I'll jump in and interrupt Troy from time to time.
All right. So we're going to talk about why listening is a business superpower, right? So many leaders think they listen, but often they just wait to respond. And I want you to think about yourself. How many times have you caught yourself in a conversation with somebody and you're not even listening to what they're saying? You're just thinking about what your next response is to them, right? Totally. And so when you're doing that in your business, it can crush your business. And we're going to have a bunch of real world examples today that we're going to talk about. A lot of these are going to be bigger companies like corporations. And the reason why is because, you all know these companies, so they're going to be familiar to you. But here's some examples. Like, for example, the CEO of Microsoft, he famously shifted the company's culture from know it all to learn it all, right? He credits listening first as the reason that Microsoft has reignited some of their innovation and especially collaboration across their teams. So, again, Microsoft was like the big one, the big business out there. And then they faltered and they fell a little bit. And so, they've made changes in their business to try and come back. So, listening communicates respect and curiosity to those around you. And these are two traits that help build loyalty and trust across every level. And we're going to be talking about not just listening to your employees, we're going to talk about listening to your customers across the board, who you should be listening to, right? And remember, listening isn't passive. It's strategic awareness, right? It's paying attention to what's important. So first, we're going to talk about listening to your employees. And we call this the hidden gold mine, right? Because often employees see problems and solutions that leadership can't, right? Because they're on the front line. They're the ones dealing with the customers right there. And so they're able to see, the patterns of what's going right and what's going wrong. And yet a lot of times as leadership, we ignore them and we don't listen to what they say because we're like, no, I'm the owner, I'm the boss, right? I know what's best for this company, when, maybe we haven't talked to a client in quite a while, right? And don't really know what's going on.
And I would say, if you're a good boss, you're hiring people smarter than you at what they do. Smarter
Yes.
or better, right? Like I always state that. I'm like, look, the people, because it's funny, because as Troy and I know, and I think most of you know, if you've grown beyond like wearing all the hats, the solopreneurs, right? And you have employees, you've got a lot of clients who have been working with you for a long time that are like, oh no, I just want to work with Trevor. Can I talk to Trevor? Can I get back to Troy? Like they just want to, and I'm like, guys, we tell our clients all the time, our team is better at what they do than we are. Like we know enough about everything, right? And we are great at what we do, which is everything, but they are very targeted and specific and highly educated and trained on what they do for us. So, just kind of food for thought there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of listening to employees. One of them is Ritz-Carlton, right? The real expensive hotels. So they have what they call the $2,000 rule, which empowers their employees to fix guest problems instantly. And this policy came from listening to frontline staff who said that they could solve issues faster if they had authority. So what the rule means, or what it is basically they've told their employees, you can spend up to $2,000 to solve a customer's problem, one of our guests' problems, without any approval from anybody else.
Wow.
So think about that. Like, how scared would you be to let your employees be like, hey, look, if a customer complains and has a problem, you can spend $2,000 to fix that problem without even talking to me, right? But, the brand that they built and the expectation that their guests have of Ritz-Carlton, it's worth it, right? It's worth it for them because of, again, who they are and what they charge, right? What their guests are willing to pay. So, but again, they've empowered, it's all the way down to housekeepers have that ability. It's not just the management, the people at the front desk, it's everybody in the company. Another one is Toyota has a system called, they call it the Kaizen system, which is basically, it means continuous improvement. And they encourage their workers to submit ideas daily on ways that they can improve the system. And guess what? Over 90% of what has been submitted by employees has been implemented.
Wow.
And literally saving the company millions of dollars annually. So that just goes to show their employees know what they're talking about. If they implement 90% of what's suggested, their employees really do know, and they care about, suggesting the right things to make it, not only better for the business, for their customers, but also for the employees as well, right? So, and then another good example would be like Southwest, right? Southwest Airlines uses regular listening sessions, they call them, with their ground crews to identify safety and customer service improvements. So, they are just actively listening with their employees and have these listening sessions scheduled that employees can just bring up, what they need to do to improve. So those are some examples there of businesses that are doing this very well. So the takeaways from that are basically like, look, as a business owner, you could host like a short open mic meeting or idea board where people can put ideas up of ways to improve the business. You could also use like anonymous digital suggestion boxes to surface honest feedback. That's another really important part, right? If your employees don't feel like they can be honest with their feedback, then you're not going to get the most important feedback, right? You don't need a bunch of yes men and women that just tell you that everything you say is the best, right? And then
you need to feed your ego. Don't do it in your business. Okay.
Exactly.
Because you'll be out of business.
Exactly. That's so true. Don't, go hire somebody else.
League.
Yeah. I was going to say, go hire somebody else to feed your ego, not your employees, right? You can just pay somebody, like minimum wage to walk around and tell you how awesome you are. And that'll be better for you, for your business than getting your employees to do that for you.
Listen, program ChatGPT to tell you every day how amazing you are 3 times a day.
Exactly.
Send me a message telling me how awesome I am. Like, and to kind of back up just a little bit, is like, if you don't trust your employees to create great suggestions, like you don't trust the suggestions that they would give for the position that they're in, then you have the wrong employee or you have the wrong mindset. You have trust issues, my friend. And if you've got trust issues, then find somebody you can trust, because I mean, you need to, I 100%, Troy and I do this all the time. Every Tuesday, right? Every Tuesday we have our company meetings and we go through everything. Every department comes in and they all, it's tell us what's going on, update us, and then what do you need? Or what do you see? What are you seeing? What are you hearing? What needs to change? Is there any issues? Right? We do that every single Tuesday. So we're doing that 4 times a month with every employee we have.
Yep. And then the big thing too is always circle back, right? Acknowledgement builds trust. So when they give you a great idea or a great suggestion, circle back and let them know that, that it was great. And even if you can track the improvements that come from it, let them know the improvements that they made in the business, right? Share those stats with them. All right. Next one is listening to clients, the secret to retention and referrals. So your clients will tell you exactly how to improve if you ask and truly listen to them, right? So here's again some real world examples. Starbucks has what they call My Starbucks Idea Platform, and it allowed customers to submit and vote on suggestions. And ideas like free Wi-Fi and mobile ordering came directly from that customer feedback.
Interesting.
I mean, think about how much business Starbucks probably does and how much more product they probably sell because of free Wi-Fi.
Well, and think about this, dude. There are literally sometimes Starbucks on the same street. Multiple. 2. I've seen them. 2 on the same street within not too far from each other. Like, I feel like you can, well, no, I know I've been sitting at one and saw another one down the street. Like, Starbucks is very successful, people. Pay attention.
Exactly. Now, another company, Netflix, right? Netflix closely watched their viewing data and subscriber feedback, and they realized that customers preferred on-demand content over DVDs mailed to them in the mail, right? Which basically paved the way for the streaming revolution. Right. So that came from their customers, from paying attention to their customers. Our own business, several of our products have been built based on what our customers have said that they needed in their business, right? The SoTellUs platform, clients coming to us and saying, hey, I need help getting reviews. I need an easy way to get reviews from my customers. That's how SoTellUs was born, right? We're working on some other products right now. And, one of the first things that we told our employees to do as they were, kind of coming up with, the parameters around these products was, we want you to reach out to our existing customer base and ask them, what do you love about this type of product if you use it? What do you not love about this type of product, right? And what do you wish it would do? So, getting that feedback is really important for us, especially when it comes to, because we don't want to build a product that nobody wants, right?
Yeah.
So we do the research up front. We talk to our customers up front to get a good understanding of what they really want, and then we build it. Yeah. Right.
Teaser alert. We've got one being built right now. Right now, the team's reaching out to clients saying, hey, what do you love about this type of product that you're using? And what do you hate about it? What do you wish it would do? And guess what we're doing? Building a better one. So something's coming, guys. Something's coming.
Exactly. So here's a couple of tips for you. Always ask open-ended questions in every client conversation, right? Give them the ability to share, not just yes, no, that always kills me when you see that. It's like, it's just yes, no answers. And I get it. That's easy to be able to quantify, across multiple people responding, but you also miss out on a lot of great ideas when you let them it's an open-ended question that they can just elaborate on. And then always summarize back what you heard, right? So just to confirm, what you're saying is this, so that you make sure you fully understand what they're asking for or talking about. And then again, follow up later to show that you acted on their input. Really important. All right, next we're going to talk about is listening to feedback and data. So listening extends beyond just people. It includes patterns, data, and reviews. So here's our real world examples. Lego once faced declining sales until it listened to its online fan community who wanted more complex sets. So what did they do? They went out and they responded with, like, there's a line called Technic. There's another one called Creator Expert. So, they created these more complex builds that people wanted. And guess what? They also got to charge a lot more money for them. So profit was up on that too, because they listened to what the people wanted. And instead of losing customers that were like, you know what, they're just too simple, I don't want to do this anymore, right? They were able to turn those customers into even better customers and get them to pay even more money by listening to them.
Well, and the thing about Lego, the thing about Lego is that you've made it when your consumers, right, create things outside of the organization. Like, consumers actually created Lego events that Lego then started sponsoring, because these people wanted to get together and show off these amazing things that they would build with Legos, these crazy, and then there was factions of that, like Star Wars theme, and all these different city build themes. I mean, I've seen events for Lego where people are building entire cities, huge cities. And these are events that the consumer started, and Lego jumped on the bandwagon and started sponsoring those and doing that. But like, that tells you that you listened to your consumer. And like, when there is a consumer adoption to the degree of like fanatics, basically. Fanatics. So
exactly.
we should all be doing that, right? I want to hear from my SoTellUs fanatics.
Awesome. And then another company is Spotify, right? So they were using listening data, right, to identify trends. And that's where like their focus playlist came from and things like that. And they've been able to build a bunch of new products in their app because of what they saw and the feedback they were getting from the listeners. So again, remember, data tells stories too. It's not just people that tell you what is important. If you can track it, you can look at the data, and then you can treat metrics and reviews like conversations about what your market values most. And again, those reviews is a big thing, right? That's a place that your clients can speak freely about you and tell you how they really feel. So you need to be paying attention to your reviews as well. All right. Now, let's talk about turning what you hear into action. So listening without action breeds cynicism, right? If you listen to somebody, but you don't do anything, they're not going to believe you, and they're not going to talk to you and tell you anything again, right? Because you didn't take action. So you got to create a system, right? You need to be able to capture the input. So that can be employee meetings, that can be customer calls, that could be surveys, whatever it might be, but you got to have a way to capture that information. You've got to review it, right, frequently. So like Trevor said with us, it's every week in our company meeting, we're reviewing it. But you got to make sure that you're reviewing it. And then you need to assign accountability and communicate what changes are made. So if you don't communicate back the changes, people may not recognize or realize that you took what they said and took action on it. And then all of a sudden, you're not getting the credit that you're due, right? Because you didn't follow up and communicate back. So another great example is Zappos. We've talked about them before, right? Zappos famously shares customer feedback company-wide. Everybody gets to see it. And when multiple customers complained about return policies, Zappos simplified them and they built a brand reputation for service excellence.
Yep.
right? I mean, that was feedback that came in, that it's the reason I don't buy shoes online is because it's such a pain to have to return them back
Yep.
to the company. And that could have been something that just ruined Zappos, right? People go, you know what? Yeah, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do it. But they said, you know what? We're going to make it so simple that people are going to buy shoes from us online. And that literally became their brand and their reputation. And it's why they exploded because of that. So again, one simple idea or feedback could completely change your business.
Totally.
All right, Trevor, anything else you want to add before we recap?
You know, it's funny, the Zappos example reminds me too of, for all our lady listeners out there, that company called Shein. Yeah, Shein. They're like an online company, and you can order clothes and all these things. My daughters order from them. My wife orders from them, you know, and it's like inexpensive things that look great. A lot of them look great. But one of the biggest problems was returns. They were experiencing the same thing as Zappos. And so their sales declined because people loved the prices of stuff. But the problem is, when you order online, you got to be able to get it back easily. You know, just like Amazon. Think about that, right? Like, if we couldn't easily return things to Amazon, we wouldn't order from Amazon, because you order some things sometimes and are like, I just don't know if this is going to be right, but I want to try it. I'll see. And then it's not right. Okay, so I got to send it back. It didn't work, or it wasn't the right thing, or it wasn't the right fit, or whatever. Same thing with Shein. And their sales declined significantly, to the point where I remember, like, my wife being like, yeah, I'll never order from Shein again. They're just so hard to return stuff. It was funny. Other women, she was walking with other women in the morning, and they were like, oh, Shein just changed their return policy. It's so easy to do it now. And so she jumped back on, and she was like, oh, wow, that was really easy. So they were smart. Amazon, very smart, making things listening. That was the problem in their industry. So what is the problem in your industry? What can you solve? What can you do better than everybody else that makes you guys stand out? All right. So to recap, listening to employees sparks innovation, right? Listening to employees sparks innovation. That's number one. Number two is listening to clients builds loyalty, right? Listening to clients builds loyalty. And then last, listening to data reveals opportunity. And that's what you want. You need opportunity to do better, to get more of the word spread. Because think about that, the Shein example. My wife had stopped using them. Other women were like, oh my gosh, no. They've fixed it, right? So that they actually were able to gain my wife back as a shopper, because people, like Troy was talking about, the reviews, okay? Because reviews aren't just written. People share reviews like verbally and in real life with everybody. All right, so this week, your homework is to spend more time listening. And I mean really listening to an employee. Start with one employee that you trust, that you can sit down and listen to them on something that you can implement, something that they're experiencing, right? Do the same thing with a client. Talk to your clients, and then, take that information and implement what needs to be changed or done in order to find more big wins, right? More wins in your business, whether that is retaining customers, gaining customers, or even returning people to becoming customers, right? All right, everybody. Well, thank you for spending your Tuesday morning with us. We love you. We appreciate you. We know that you guys could spend your time anywhere. It's kind of like the airlines. We know that you could fly with anyone. We know that you could spend your Tuesday morning on any podcast, and you choose SoTellUs Time. So we sure appreciate you. And we will keep trying to bring amazing content to you guys. And again, always real world things that we're experiencing. That's something for first time listeners, understand. we're talking about. We've been doing business for 27 years. We own consulting companies. We've built up and helped our clients do hundreds of millions of dollars, actually probably more like billions of dollars in revenue over the last 27 years and been very successful doing it. And so that is what we're doing. We're here to share, help, grow. But a lot of times we're experiencing this stuff in real life too, because we're living the real life with you. So we will check you guys out every Tuesday, first thing in the morning. Check for our newest podcast. We're on every channel out there, YouTube, Instagram, social. They've even got us on the TikToks and the things like that. So we will see you guys on the next episode of SoTellUs Time.